So last week's video on my nighttime routine using a retinoid seemed to generate almost as many questions as it answered. So I thought it would be great to do a follow-up video answering some of those questions because there are still so many myths and friction points that get in the way of many of you guys engaging with your retinoid habit. And you know how strongly I feel about that as I sit here looking out at the snow. But it is a challenging time of year, so I completely get it. Believe me, I've been there at the beginning with the red, sore face, the crispy bits, the purging from the acne. I've been there. I've been red, I've been unhappy in my retinoid use. But let me tell you, when you nail it, when you find those little tweaks, those little habits that just make it all seamless and easy, my goodness, you really reap the rewards. So today's questions will hopefully answer some of your reservations and help you get on track. And when I think about why my retinoid is such an important part of my skincare routine, it really does affect the way I feel about my skin because they have that power to transform the skin. But not only that, you get to do the retinoid step at night, which basically means you can have a very minimalistic approach to your skincare routine in the morning. You're not there applying loads and loads of layers, so it makes it efficient. And it gives me a confidence because I kind of know if I've had my retinoid on the night before, even if I had less quality sleep or less number of hours sleep than usual, it will tide me over because of that glow, of that brightness, of the way the light interacts with my skin. So that's what a retinoid gives to me in terms of skin confidence. So let's tackle some of those really burning questions and make sure you stay till the end because there'll be some pearls that I'm answering. So a good first question from Shauna M34. Thank you, Shauna. Will buffering tretinoin with moisturizer reduce its efficacy? Well, in a way, Shauna, what you want is a bit of reduction in potency to increase tolerability. That's the reason for buffering in the first place. But let me assure you, from more than a decade fine-tuning people's retinoid use, it won't stop it from working. It really will just reduce to a tolerable level so that you can engage with that daily habit. And I think that's what's really key. Buffering with moisturizer really does facilitate daily use of your retinoid, and that's when the magic happens. The next question is from Estas Aesthetics. Thanks, guys. How to treat retinoid dermatitis on the neck. Now, this is so common, and I can even begin to count the number of times I've experienced retinoid dermatitis on the neck. So what that is, guys, is when it gets red and a bit sore and a bit itchy and a bit rough, and you know you've overdone it. And I think almost everyone needs to dial down their retinoid that they would use on their face when it comes to their neck. Some people will even find that they need to use a different product, something less strong, because the aim is the same. We want to be able to use it daily because it builds skin thickness, that makes the skin crease resistant, and we want to minimize the formation mostly of those horizontal lines, which can bother people. So dialing it down by using a weaker product and by buffering first. I almost always recommend putting moisturizer on your neck first, and ideally something with niacinamide, which really helps combat the tendency for the retinoid to dry your skin out. But if it's actually happened, have a complete break and probably stop using it from the face as well, because a lot of the time what happens with our necks is we go to bed and then we scrunch everything up, and then our neck comes into contact as we lower our chin down, and then the product collects and the skin folds, and that can definitely increase the risk of irritability. So have a complete break, leave your retinoid alone, moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. If it's really uncomfortable, a tiny bit of 1% hydrocortisone cream can speed up the resolution. And then when you restart, giving your skin a proper break, usually about 7 days in total, make sure you pay attention to those little tips to make everything a little bit less strong, or as I said, use a weaker product for your neck. And then start off maybe doing it every third day, every second day, depending on where you got to the point where you got your retinoid dermatitis. And then build it up slowly, even slower than you would for your face. And then you'll find that place where your skin is just stimulated enough, but not getting the redness or the dryness. And that will be your happy place. Next question is from Kirsten H. Mullins. Thank you, Kirsten. If my skin tolerates nightly serum over flawless moisturizer around my eyes, can I use it? So my hesitancy comes from the fact that azelaic acid doesn't have any direct effects on collagen. And I think of it as being an irritant, albeit that it's a mild one. So given that a more dedicated eye cream that might contain retinoid, niacinamide, or vitamin C are the actives that we prefer around the eyes, I would say just stick to using flawless moisturizer, get the niacinamide from that, and stick to using flawless nightly serum on the thicker parts of your skin, which is where you want the benefits of azelaic acid to really take place. So there's been a few questions about using nightly serum alongside other retinoids. So for example, AZELAIC says nightly over epiduo or both at the same time at night, please? Question mark. No, do not use nightly over epiduo. Do not use those two in the same sitting. If you needed to, you could use them in rotation. So you'd use epiduo one night and nightly the next. That would be a reasonable way to combine them together if you wanted to get the benefits of the azelaic acid, bakuchiol, and niacinamide alongside the retinoid and the benzoyl peroxide in epiduo. But equally, you might want to simplify your life and just stick to epiduo at night. A better move might be then to use brightly serum in the morning. So Lena Hellinger says, don't you use a stronger retinoid, or is hydroxypinoculone retinoate one of the stronger ones? Well, I find it to be very active because it is active as it is in product. So it doesn't have to go through any conversions to become activated, unlike retinol and retinaldehyde. So that's why I like it. And it's also quite gentle, which is why we're able to formulate it alongside those other active ingredients of bakuchiol, azelaic acid, and niacinamide. So given that tretinoin is just proving too irritating for my skin, when, as I say, we're literally facing snow right now, I get all the other balancing benefits, which are quite anti-inflammatory. So it makes it quite a complete solution for my skin concerns. So anti-aging, anti-blemish, and it calms redness too. Then we have one from Amihal. Thanks for your question. What retinoid alternatives are there for a nighttime routine if you're pregnant? Now, I'm going to be doing a video on pregnancy soon because it's such a commonly requested topic in skincare. But essentially, pregnancy is a time where you do no harm. Now, topical retinoids, we don't know because no one has explored it, but in the oral form, retinoids are harmful in the first trimester of pregnancy. So we do not use topical retinoids because they're alternatives. And the ones I like, and I use a lot, are azelaic acid because it's helpful in acne, it's helpful in pigmentation, it's also helpful if you're redness prone, and it's good for texture and brightening too. And niacinamide, so vitamin B3, is really helpful. Again, it unclogs pores, it improves ceramide production, so it's great if your skin's behaving a little more sensitively in pregnancy, which can certainly happen. And it's good for anti-aging as it builds collagen as well. So between those two, you get lots of pharmacological oomph. Vitamin C is a great addition as well because that's really brightening and you can use that around the eyes and on the neck. So I think you can definitely get through those 9 months with those ingredients, and safe in the knowledge you can bring your retinoid back into play when you're breastfeeding. Next question comes from Bahaya 5. Thank you. It's more of a statement, I think. So retinol for under eyes. I assume there's meant to be a question mark there. So can you use retinoids around your eyes? And actually someone DM'd me about this week as well. So in principle, yes, you can. Much like with the neck, you want to thicken up those areas of the body where the skin is the thinnest. And of course, it doesn't get much thinner than around the eyes. And that is the area where we first see signs of premature aging, because we know we naturally scrunch the skin up. Every time we smile, we're doing that with the eye sort of skin. And fine skin tends to get fine lines etched in with repeated squeezing. So, you know, every time you smile, you're squeezing the skin, and that's what eventually leads to the appearance of fine lines what we call the crow's feet. So yes, we do want to keep that skin thickness up, and it's the reason why I say that the first eye cream anyone should ever use is, guess what? Sunscreen. Because the reason why the part that's controllable that we can intervene with is the impact of UV exposure, particularly UVA, which is causing collagen breakdown. And basically, as the thin skin gets even thinner, it becomes more prone to wrinkling. So by using a retinoid around your eyes, you are promoting skin thickness. It also keeps the texture nice, and it can help reduce pigmentation as well. But the hard part is to find one that your skin will tolerate. So the easiest thing to do in the first instance is to use a gentle over-the-counter retinoid that is designed for the eye area, so that you're not using something that's full strength that you might use on the thicker skin parts of your face, like the cheeks and the forehead. This is much thinner, and you must be more cautious. So when I talk to patients about using retinoids around their eyes, I talk about this being the advanced level retinoid usage, and I won't really have that conversation with them until they spent 3 months getting a handle on, 13 dot technique type areas of using their retinoid, because that's the key. You'll eventually, at some point in time, if you use a retinoid for long, you'll have a day where you go over the top, use a little bit too much, and usually the area you'll get irritated is around the eyes. So if you've already dealt with that and kind of, got rid of the anxiety around having that sort of problem, then you'll cope well with using a dedicated product around the eyes. And I'll do an Instagram post with some eye retinol products I think are worth trying. I say retinol, but it could be any of the retinoid family, frankly. But the key thing is to have a product that has a nice moisturizing base that helps calm the tendency for any initial dryness, that you know exactly how much of the retinoid product there is in there, so you can slowly but surely titrate things up. And then it becomes something that's a valuable and useful part of your skincare regime. But don't go in around the eyes too early. Learn how to manage a retinoid on your skin first, and then graduate to advanced retinoid use around the eyes. And the last question I have for you is from Maria Kiriakou 1. Thanks, Maria. Will nightly ever not be enough, and will you bring out a stronger one, or is there no need? So, the answer to that is, in terms of defining your goals, and I think that's the important part with using a retinoid, because quite often the one you start is sufficient and doesn't need to be escalated and made stronger. So if you set out with the goal of clearing out pores, improving texture, calming some breakouts, and just generally enhancing your glow, maybe a little bit of fine line reduction, and your product delivers that, then more isn't necessarily more. Then you often end up in the territory of irritable skin, where you've pushed it maybe beyond its boundaries, you've got to respect skin's boundaries, and you end up in a sort of cycle of stopping and starting, red patches, makeup not sitting well, feeling tight and uncomfortable. So if it's delivering the goals that you set out to achieve, then stick with it. I am not in a rush to increase a stronger product, because we're getting such amazing feedback on it. And the testimonials you guys write about nightly serum just fill me up with so much joy that it's making such a difference to your skin. And that's because of that combination of not just the retinoid, but also the azelaic acid, the bakuchiol, and the niacinamide. So conceivably, yes, but truthfully, with gram-active retinoid, there isn't a huge amount of extra space to go with increasing the potency of that without necessarily running into problems. So watch the space. I will update you if that becomes something that we're thinking about offering. So I hope that Q&A was helpful. If you like this style of video, interactive, me taking questions from Instagram and bringing them over here, leave me a comment down below and let me know. If retinoids are something you're trying to get to grips with and you want a little bit more information, do make sure you get my cheat sheet on retinoid happiness and how to achieve it. And sign up for that is down below for my newsletter, and you'll get a whole array of cheat sheets, not just about retinoids, but really great resources and a bit more detail than I put across my blog or maybe on Instagram, so go take a look. Love doing this video today, guys. Do hit subscribe and like if you like this content and want to see more of it. It really helps us knowing that we're doing the right things for you, and I'll see you again soon.